getting up. Come on, we getting up. Come on, we getting up. Yeah, I said it, we can, where you going, go
Welcome back, bottom feeders. We're here, Jermaine.
Word.
Matt. What's going on, Jermaine?
You know, setting the world on fire, getting the party started, as I always do.
This is episode, what, 20 did we decide?
20.
This is our 20th anniversary special.
Don't you have to be on 20 years to have a 20th anniversary?
Are you seeing what we're doing?
I get it. I just don't want you to get too lost.
We promised you a lot of special guests today, and we assume that they will be joining us. They just haven't shown up yet.
Rob Schneider's here.
We'll just keep him, in the green room or something.
Well, he's standing outside, because I wasn't going to let him in.
Yeah, please don't. But if some of the other, if Jennifer Lawrence shows up, let me know.
I will. Maybe an hour later.
Yeah. So what's going on? What you got planned for us today, Jermaine?
I thought, we'll talk about Justin Bieber's surprise appearance at the Laugh Factory, and maybe some Golden Globe information, and maybe some of, since we stumbled across a list of the worst TV sitcoms, and I think we had some that list left off that we could add in there.
Yeah.
And I know you wanted to talk about Beyonce changing the game.
Beyonce's always changing the game. Did you know she's got an album out and did no promotion for it and told no one? It's still number one on iTunes.
That's right. 600,000 copies downloaded first day.
And that's because Beyonce is the queen of everything. She does what she wants.
Yeah!
We are at her beck and call. If she says, I'm here, it's time to spend money on me, we must do it.
This is true. I can't argue.
What drives me crazy is the media going on and on this morning about how she's changed music and the way things are done in music. Okay, I'm sure she came up with the whole strategy all by herself.
Yeah, not really. We all knew that music was headed in this direction to start with. I mean, it was gonna be somebody.
Yeah, it had to be somebody big to be the first.
And did you see that Target's not gonna carry her album?
Yeah, they got big because it was on iTunes first.
Yeah, because she decided to go around distributing physical copies, and they actually had a big partnership with her before, and they're like, no thanks. And I think, what did they say? They're like the fourth largest. They're either the third or fourth as far as when it comes to selling physical copies of albums.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, it's not gonna really affect her because most people are gonna download it anyway, but it's still a loss of money, In this day and age, in a struggling music industry, all the help you can get is all the help you can get.
Blue Ivy might not have a fifth house by the time she's 5.
Jeez. If I hear about that freaking kid one more time.
The perfect child, Blue Ivy, last name, copyrighted.
Hey, there was another article recently about is Britney Spears losing it because her newest album only debuted with it was the lowest debut ever, and it was like 107,000 copies sold on the first day. And I was like, well, I know that's low for her, but that's great for any other artist.
I think everybody's losing it to an extent.
But it's just the fact that everyone went off about it. And I'm like, it's the way the industry is going. The Beyonce thing worked because nobody saw it coming.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, it's a new album. I gotta get this.
It's a nice surprise. It actually has the reverse. It works for the reverse reason of why I won't go see Anchorman 2. It's
right.
I've been bombarded with it for 2 years and I'm tired of it.
Well, since you brought up Anchorman 2, let's talk about that because we've had a lot of discussion about that this past week. And we can give the folks our feelings on that because we both like the first movie. Sex Panther is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's stuff in this one I like. It was 2.5 years ago when Will Ferrell came out on the Conan O'Brien show and announced as Ron Burgundy this movie would be coming out. That's a long time to be promoting something.
Yeah. Well, I felt like when he came out, they hadn't even officially decided they were going to make the movie yet, right?
Then it wasn't started making it yet.
Wasn't it like based off the buzz from that Conan O'Brien appearance, then they got, the sponsors and the funding to make the movie. Because I know they said at the time they had a script, but they didn't have any studio that wanted to buy it.
Which I can't fathom.
Which is amazing considering it was a hit movie. But still, they said they didn't have the backing. I mean, that was the word I had heard. That's why he came out to draw the interest to get the studios behind it.
I wonder if that was just a ploy.
Maybe.
Because I'm sure it's going to do huge money. And the thing is, it's kind of like the first Austin Powers. I went back and looked at how much the first Anchorman made, and of course I can't remember right now, but it wasn't nearly as big a hit as you think it was.
Right.
It was all about once it came out on video.
Right.
People were like, holy crap, this movie's hilarious, and kept watching it or buying it, which is the same way Austin Powers came out, because I remember you and me saw it in the theater, and we were like two of the only people we knew.
Yeah, there's probably like 5 people total in the theater.
Yeah, and not many people we knew saw it. And then on video, it got real popular, and the second movie totally, did 5 times what the first one did.
Yeah, because I actually saw the second one in the theater, and the theater was packed.
Yeah.
Like, it was banana.
Yeah, same. And I feel like that's the way it's going to be with Anchorman 2, that people are it's going to do huge numbers. Probably won't be as good as the first one, but the third one will be inevitable and come out way sooner.
They've already greenlit the third one.
Yeah.
Based off the buzz and all the hype the second one's getting. There's no way the third one, and they aren't already, working on the script.
And I can't say it's not good business, because I'm sure it'll work. And a lot of the promotion has been, like, the co-branding with, was it Toyota or whatever that truck? Dodge. So Dodge probably covered half of the cost of that.
Yeah, there's going to be, going into that movie, there's going to be a lot of Dodge talk in that movie.
So I don't know if that was really a huge expense for the studio as far as promoting those, with those ads.
My only thing is, the only reason why I feel like that might be one of the things is because studios have gotten so they want a slam dunk, like a huge Hunger Games type. Those are the type of movies they want. And I'm not hating on the Hunger Games or anything, but it's the ones that draw the $1 billion revenue, like Transformers and Fast and the Furious, and I'm leaving out something else that's pretty huge. Twilight and Harry Potter. Those type of movies are the ones that they're wanting right now.
Things that have built-in sequels.
Yeah, that they've already can go down the line. The Avengers, Batman, Superman, and no matter who they put in it, it doesn't matter that the franchise is going to go regardless. And I feel like that may be the only reason where they're like looking at this one like, it was a minor hit. Maybe people like it, maybe people don't. That's why I think it may have had that hard time getting the backing, because they're like, we're going to have to put a lot of work into this one. Whereas, you don't have to put any work into Transformers. You say Transformers, and they stuck, Mark Wahlberg in the newest one.
Really?
I think he's going to be in the newest one.
I haven't seen any of them except for about 15 minutes.
You and I have seen the same amount of the same movie.
Yeah. In a back of an SUV, watching it with a little kid. But also with the promotion costs with the Anchorman movie, a lot of what, and it's annoying the crap out of me, but a lot of what Will Ferrell's doing is all stuff that's not going to cost him fame.
Right.
Like showing up on all these little, even local TV shows, doing all these promotions.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I'm in the minority. I'm sure it's going to work.
I think it's going to work. I just think that's the reason why I believe they probably had a hard time. Because studios really aren't getting behind movies unless they think it's going to be a slam dunk.
Yeah, which is sad because, I think we've said it before on here, just how, executives don't get praised for the hits. They just get fired for the misses.
Yeah. Well,
so you can't really take a chance.
I saw, and I can't remember, I wish I would have paid more attention to the article, but where one studio head was talking about they were going to cut divisions of their business and basically focus on literally making hits. So that right there tells me, any obscure, possibly cult following type movie, it's not going to happen there.
No.
their goal is to build. I think they were saying their goal was to build stars and recognizing young talent that they can put in movies that make big money. Basically, is what they were saying. So they're telling you what's coming. And yeah, Mark Wahlberg is in the new Transformers movie. I thought that's what I saw.
Wow.
And you don't even need a guy like Mark Wahlberg to be in those movies.
You really don't.
No, I mean, well, no.
Not that he's the greatest actor.
No, no one's saying that.
He's almost too big a name to even bother with.
But that's gonna be a slam dunk regardless of what the movie is. I'm sure it's garbage. Excuse me.
How could it be garbage?
It's the Transformers.
One meets the other. Do they still use that? Probably
Yes, they do.
One meets the other.
I don't know. That was the weird thing about it. Like I felt like that was probably one of the things that Will Ferrell had to do to get the movie made, was do so much promotion, because actors don't like doing all that promotion stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they mostly despise it.
Will Ferrell does.
Yeah, because he likes the attention.
Yeah.
He gets off on it.
Which supposedly, everything I always hear about him is he's kind of an asshole. But I think he probably likes the attention.
Yeah.
Whereas he can escape in that character, because he hasn't been promoting it all as Will Ferrell.
No.
So he can escape and just be goofy and not get any even remotely tough questions.
Yeah, and he's gonna be at every major party, and he's gonna show up as Ron Burgundy.
Yeah,
and people are gonna love him.
Harrison Ford can't get away from with that.
No.
And he notoriously hates doing press. Maybe he should try it. Maybe he should be Han Solo and
so everyone can go, man, Han Solo's a dick.
It's me, Han. I'm old now. Will address me as Han.
Yes, I did shoot first.
And every time you say something to me, I just go, I know. And then I fade down into carbonite. And that's what we end every interview.
Oh, man. Oh, God.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome if he came out dressed as Han Solo.
Well, they're acting like he might actually be in the new one, which I can't even... All I can say is he's never pretended to even like that role.
No. And that's still... I agree with him 100%. I know a lot of Star Wars fans kind of get mad with me. But I agree that when he said Han Solo should have died at the end of Empire Strikes Back, I'm like, yeah, he should have. That'd have been awesome.
Well, I've heard, I think it's true, but I've heard that it was kind of open-ended because they didn't know if he was going to come back for the third movie.
Right.
And they just gave him so much money, he said, okay, fine.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't blame him for taking the money and coming back.
No.
But I agree with him. He said it would have been better if he would have died. And I agree with that. He's like, because bringing him back just gave you what we were talking about earlier before we started this podcast, movie cliches that we hate because, that character is so beloved by Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
So to kill him would go against every, the way movies go because he's that guy that, kind of like the anti-hero.
And he's kind of wasted in the third movie.
Pretty much.
Because for half the time he's blind.
Right.
And
he's just useless.
He just doesn't have the time until the very end when he, kisses Leia and you're like, oh.
Right.
But
the third movie was basically about Luke Skywalker taking the next step. So what's the point of even having Han Solo there?
The best part of it was when he's like, you love Luke, don't you? You want to be with him. I get it. And he does that, snarky Han Solo thing. And she's like, no, he's my brother. And then he's got the look on his face. That's the best part of Han and all of Return of the Jedi. The rest of it is just him like, I'm blind and I'm going to be useless and get probably $50 million.
I just, did you ever watch the Family Guy spoofs of the Star Wars?
I'm not sure I saw all of them, but I've definitely seen a couple.
Just the one where they come get Peter when he's Han Solo after he's been frozen. And, when he's unfreezing, and he just rips off that loud fart. And he's like, excuse me, sorry, I've been holding it for a really long time. And the whole time while he's been unfrozen is just one continuous fart. And
that that is a valid point.
It's like, I know it's so, to everyone else it's lowest common denominator, but I'm like, that's freaking hilarious, because you gotta think he's been frozen. Stuff builds up.
Well, and was he a little funky just in general?
Yeah, you would think.
I mean, Leia's kissing on him. She probably was like, "Whoa, huh?" She probably should have given him some Banaka. That would have been cool.
Oh man, but yeah, I don't know, and I'm sure every Star Wars fan listening is probably gonna want to stab us.
It's the weakest of those original three, mainly for reasons we just mentioned, and the Ewok. But I still like it. I still love how that whole thing ended, even though now it's not the end anymore.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a fan. There were certain things that I agree that could have been.
Yeah. Oh, Empire is definitely the best of any of the
No doubt.
Because it's a downer. It's dark. It's just cool.
But yeah, so you saw that our favorite comedian and our favorite pop star on stage together, Chris D'Elia.
I don't think either one of those things.
Chris D'Elia. I still don't understand why he has this large following.
Chris D'Elia. That's how you say his name, right?
Yeah, D'Elia.
Yeah.
And Justin Bieber.
I'm sure we're losing street cred, but I don't find him that funny either. It's like the whole Bill Hicks thing. People who are comics rave about him, and every time I hear him do any of his material, I just want to turn him off.
Yeah, apparently if you hear and see the things that people write, like around the Laugh Factory and the Comedy Store, D'Elia is one of the top dogs. But I've seen him do his stand-up specials and stuff, or do spots on TV, and the crowd doesn't even respond. But yet, if you watch one of his shows at the Laugh Factory, people are losing their mind. And I'm like,
I guess that's where his bread and butter. That's his crowd.
Well, that's like Dane Cook, Dane, there's the Dane backlash. But if you look at any of his latest spots or stuff that he's doing now, and when it's at the Laugh Factory, he's killing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not funny. But again, that's me. That's my personal preference. But again, Dane Cook goes on a Laugh Factory, he'll kill every time. But there's really not much to that Justin Bieber thing, other than the fact that D'Elia makes fun of him, brings him on stage, makes fun of him, and in great Justin Bieber form, he says, "I fuck bitches."
And people go, "Wait a second, Justin Bieber kind of misogynist or sexist? Is it possible he's not the squeaky clean guy we thought he was?"
I still say, and if we go back to all the stuff that we were talking about Letterman, the best thing that I've seen Letterman do lately was when he had Justin Bieber on and he's just making fun of him, and Bieber's not smart enough to realize what's happening.
Just go with it.
Because he makes a joke about the Canadian school system and Bieber totally misses it. And you're just like, oh, dude.
That's sad. His handlers need to warn him of this stuff.
Yeah, so I suggest folks, if you get a chance, go look up the video of Bieber on Letterman, and when they're talking about his tattoos, and Letterman is killing him, and Bieber's not. It just seems like he's clueless to what's happening to him, and not that anyone cares, or not that his fans care, because they will defend him and protect him till the end.
But it's safe to say they're defending the douche.
Well, we know that.
There's that.
You wait for when is his star gonna fall?
Yeah, it seems like it's not going to.
No, I felt like it would have happened by now. Because he's 19 now, you would have thought by the time he turned 18, I thought his star was gonna fall. It's only gotten stronger.
Yeah, and it was a bunch of teeny boppers, but I guess little pre-teens that grew up with him when he was squeaky clean are now older too. It's not like they stay the same age.
Right.
So they're ready for raunchy Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Just like everybody ends up, every friggin' Mickey Mouse type, child star gets 18 and becomes this crazy version of them, what they were, and nobody should be surprised. It's just what happened.
Yeah, it's natural.
It would
It's
be
like,
shocking if it didn't happen.
it's like, think about going to college, and in high school you did everything the right way, and then you got to college and you got bananas.
Crazy.
That's what people do.
And it's good for your career.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I mean, who didn't go nuts? Maybe Mandy Moore. Where is she now?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I haven't heard of her
Well,
either.
to quote Tracy Morgan, she can't even get arrested, right?
She said, "I'll take the high road," and look where that got her.
For real. I mean, for whatever you want to say about Britney Spears, people are still, whether it's, her getting a TV show, her getting more album deals, more albums coming out, more whatever, perfumes, commercial endorsements, she's still getting them.
She's still huge, and I don't personally really get it, but she's almost really not at this point. She's like icon status, where it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't.
She's like gets a Madonna pass, where it's Britney Spears, she's an icon. I'll go to her show. She'll sell out shows from here till she's 50.
Well, a friend of ours was like, hey, well, I saw that she was struggling to sell out shows. And I said, that's funny because she keeps having them. Yeah. I was like, if you're struggling to sell out shows, you don't keep getting them. It's like Christina Aguilera, where she was struggling to sell out shows.
Yeah.
And she stopped getting them. There was no more tour.
Didn't Kelly Clarkson have to cancel one of her tours or something?
Did she?
I could be wrong. Maybe I thought she did.
I know.
But then she came back pretty strong.
I know.
I know she had like a mini comeback within like a year.
Yeah, when Aguilera went into her downward spiral was after that last album, and it didn't sell at all, and she had this big tour set up to follow it, and she had to cancel it because they couldn't give tickets away.
Yeah, and now probably from The Voice, she's pretty big again.
Not
at least,
as big as you would have expected. Like,
she didn't have the Adam Levine bump.
See, and that you knew right where I was going, like where it worked out for him. I don't really think it's worked out for everyone else, but he seems to. It's definitely risen his star, but I don't think it's really worked for CeeLo Green or Blake Shelton.
Man, CeeLo Green, I think where it's worked out for him is that he's not in prison.
Yes, he's gotten a hall pass for that stuff.
Because, I mean, it seems, if I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he admitted to giving a girl ecstasy.
Yes, he did.
Without her permission.
Yep.
And why would you do that if you weren't trying to take advantage of somebody?
Yep.
And yet he didn't get charged with rape.
Nope.
And I thought he even admitted to having sex with one.
Yep.
I mean, all those things don't equal what happens with. It just doesn't add up to me.
And the fact that they kind of came and went and no one said a word.
Yeah.
Like there was no backlash against the boys. There was no backlash against CeeLo Green. It was like, this happened, and everybody's like, and we're moving on.
And I'm pretty sure something similar like that has happened to him before.
Yes.
So there's.
I know I'm giving one word answers, but I don't know the detail.
But I think there is a precedent, and it's just totally. I think we're saying something right now that people have no idea about.
Yeah, because it just kind of got swept under the rug.
Yeah,
but that's the kind of headline news you get here at the bottom of the barrel.
We're here for you. We don't pussyfoot around.
That's right. We dive in. We like to get wet.
Yeah.
Thank you and good night. I was like, man, I hope this one lands. And the fact that you said, I was like, yep, nailed it.
Kind of gross.
But that kind of changed the game. And a little steam. I was trying to think about. I was like, what were we talking about? We were talking about The Voice. We were talking about singers. Oh, we were talking about Justin Bieber losing steam. But yeah, it's I would have thought by now he would have crashed, but no, staying strong.
No, he's gonna be big forever.
Yeah.
I'm not quite as sure about Lady Gaga, but probably on some level. But apparently, she can't see a huge drop in her popularity.
Yeah, well, I think because if I'm not mistaken, she had like some injury or surgery or whatever,
Oh,
and she kind of was absent from the headlines. And in that world, in the pop world, you gotta be churning them out because a break in there will let someone pass you. And I feel like the break is, excuse me, what's kind of killed her.
yeah.
Cause she had that pause. And she was going strong where it seemed like every year she had an album out or she was going on tour, and then she canceled a bunch of shows.
I guess that's the true test. If you can wait 5 years between projects,
And that used to be the
not the
way.
norm.
Like, because Michael Jackson would go for 5 years in between albums,
Yeah.
and
Most rock bands seem to or used to.
the buzz was there regardless. But nowadays you almost to the point. It's almost to the point now where you almost have to have 2 albums out in the same year, like one that's still on the charts, and then have the new one come out while the other one's still going.
It's like back to the '60s when the Beatles were putting out 2 and 3 albums a year.
Yeah, you can.
I never thought it would be back like that. That just seems so crazy. But yeah, you're right. And the true test, and personally I don't really get it, but is when you can be gone forever, claim you're retired, and gone for so long people actually start to believe it, and then suddenly you're like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna tour again, and you do a little TV special, and that's Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
And the TV special does gangbusters.
So he's making new music now. Cause
I don't know if he's gonna do a new album, but he's going on tour, and it's already like the first 3 dates sold out. Not the first one, the first 3 sold out like 48 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, people have obviously missed them, and it's like, holy crap, Garth Brooks is back.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I've decided I need some cash, or I just missed it, or whatever reason.
Well, it kind of shocked me because I guess he's doing that box set for Christmas with those Walmart commercials, and I was like, holy crap, Garth Brooks.
Yeah, I don't know if he's doing new music. Maybe he's doing the Billy Joel thing of just, I'm gonna tour and not do, because Billy Joel hasn't had, I want to say, when River of Dreams come out in like '94,
Jeez.
He hasn't had a new album of new material since then. At least not pop music. He tried the classical stuff for a minute, but and people, I mean, he's Billy Joel's doing Madison Square Garden 1 show a month indefinitely.
Yeah, well, and that's his spot, New York. Yeah. They love him.
And it's like, yeah, I'll just probably do this and do a few other shows, and people will love it. And why write new music and sully my reputation?
Well, I didn't realize Garth Brooks was married to that other former country star. Yeah, that's big on the cooking network, the Food Network now.
Oh, I didn't know that's what she was doing.
Yeah, because again, a mutual friend of ours, we were watching the show, and he was like, yeah, it's funny that she's doing this and she's getting more notoriety now for her cookbooks and her cooking show. And he's like, but you never see Garth Brooks. And I was like, why the hell would you see Garth Brooks? And he's like, that's her husband. And I was like, oh. I was like, how did that one slip past me?
Maybe she just needs him out of the house.
Probably. Well, you wonder because I would think that she can't be around very much if she's doing the show and stuff.
Yeah.
Since Food Network, and I'm sure, I don't know if she does hers on location, but most of the Food Network stuff is shot in New York.
Yeah.
So I mean, except for like that one lady who they went bananas for, and I know that everyone's like, "What are you guys doing talking about cooking shows?"
We like to eat.
The Pioneer Woman, who she had a big following before she came to the Food Network. And because like I can't remember exactly where she's out of, like maybe Texas, somewhere out west, Midwest. And she had this she was more known from blogs and magazine stuff that she had done on her own, and it was this big deal when the Food Network signed her. And she shoots from her location. That's how bad they wanted her. I mean, that's the kind of swag, because it was. I remember again talking to another mutual friend of ours. And she was like, yeah, and I was like, yeah, because she was doing her own thing, right? She was like, yeah, hers is purely based off like internet stuff and her blog, and she kind of had the word of mouth thing. So like when they got her, it was like, woo, we did it. So I don't know if Trisha Yearwood has that kind of setup.
I don't know. I mean, she was pretty big back in the day too, but nothing transcends.
Yeah.
He's one of those people that just...
He is a giant.
Yeah. I mean, he was the biggest thing in country music by far for a long time.
Yeah.
And the kind of country music I actually hate. But be that as it may.
Let's see. Are we changing speeds? What do you want next? Do you want to do Golden Globes, or you want to do worst sitcom?
I can do worst sitcoms, I guess, real quick. Which I need to find that list though.
I got it for you. Let's take a break for a second.
All right,
folks. We'll be right back. And we are back. So we're going to jump into this list we found of the 25 worst sitcoms ever. Obviously, we're going to have some of our own that we feel they left out, but we're just going to discuss this list, and we're going to start with number 25, and that's Veronica's Closet. So, Matt, have you ever seen an episode of Veronica's Closet?
I know I saw a few, and I remember so little about this show, even though it was on for like 3 years or 4 years.
I think 4.
Oh, so it had to have been bad, because how is something on that long and you have no memory of it?
I did see episodes of it, and it was awful. So it deserves to be on this list.
Is that the first thing she did after Chris D'Elia?
Yep, and that was the big push, she's coming back, and it was terrible.
Ron Silver, he was in it?
Yep.
I mean, he was a respected dramatic actor. Oh, well.
And, any show that has Dan Cortez has got to be a hit, right?
Kathy Najimy was in it.
Yep.
Probably off of that, what was it, that Nun movie?
The one with... yeah, that's it.
Wasn't she in that?
Yeah.
Everybody was hot. It was a surefire hit, and in a way it was. It just wasn't any good.
No, there's really not much more to say about it. It was terrible.
24 is actually a legendary show.
Yeah, people love it.
It's iconic.
You go ahead and tell our folks what it was.
Charles in Charge.
With the great Scott Baio.
Scott Baio, who could do no wrong back then. This was probably around the time he was dating Pamela Anderson.
Did he really?
Yeah, I think he was one of the first. In a long line of, but Nicole Eggert, I don't know. I really never hardly watched that show.
I did, and
I couldn't make it through it.
It was awful. I don't get why people loved it.
What else? Let's see. 23.
One of the worst that I've ever seen. The Nanny.
I'll never understand it. It was on for a long time.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
I thought it was painful.
It was one of the periods when this show was on. It was when CBS was like third ranked network. They were struggling really bad, and this was one of the one hits they had.
But it's like, let's create a character that in action and voice is the most annoying person ever, and people are gonna want to tune in, and they did.
It did. For some reason, it worked.
Yeah.
Number 22 is one I really hate. Webster.
Oh.
Which basically they're like, hey, let's copy this other show, Different Strokes, which is even worse.
Let's get an even shorter little black kid with white people.
There's nothing more people love than white parents and black kids.
It's as old as time.
The 80s, folks. Number 21, one that is really awful. Saw one episode, couldn't stand it. Are you still there? We're going to pause for the calls, folks. All right, we're back, and we gotten up to number 21, which was All American Girl, the Margaret Cho sitcom.
I vaguely remember that.
I saw one episode, and it was terrible.
She was big at the time. I guess that was the beginning of the end.
I mean, she still has a strong following, but I can't imagine her getting another TV show.
Yeah.
That was the one big break. Number 20, I don't remember at all.
I don't really either.
And it was Babes.
Sounds good.
I don't think it's what you think it is.
Let's just get to 19, because that's a classic.
Mr. Belvedere.
I think it was one of those shows that I was like, oh, that was probably pretty good looking. And then I went and saw another episode.
Yep.
After a really long time. And I thought, how did I ever tolerate this at all?
See, that's my argument for a lot of shows that you remember watching as a kid, and then you go back and watch them now. Some hold up where you're like, oh, it's still funny, it's making me laugh. it's not as good as I remember, but it's still funny. And then
Right.
there are others where you look at this, and Mr. Belvedere is one where, again, like you, I saw recently, and I was like, my goodness, this is terrible.
The 80s, and this is when we were kids, the 80s TV, the quality of those TV shows was horrible.
Because they didn't have to try, based on the fact that there was no competition.
I mean, this was a hit. It was on for like 5 years. And I don't know, it's amazing. You're like, oh, Mr. Belvedere, or what other, some other show that we might get ready to mention.
Number 18, Family Matters.
Yeah.
Which deserves to be on this list and probably should be higher.
And started out as a respectable...
It started out like The Cosby Show.
Yeah, I was going to say like a poor man's Cosby Show, but it was like... It was a respectable TV show.
And it was a spinoff off of another show that I think is on this list. Perfect Strangers, actually.
Oh, this one was.
Yeah, because the mother was a character on Perfect Strangers. It takes place in the same city.
But they never showed up, did they?
No, not at all.
That's a shame. That would have been gold. It's just as soon... Because Urkel wasn't even really a character at first.
He just was, a side story that kind of took off. And Urkel kind of had that, it almost reminds me of Good Times. Like, JJ wasn't supposed to be a focal point of that show, but he had the catchphrase, and then he became, every week, how can we work in Dynamite? And then you got Urkel, and did I do that?
Say it right.
I can't.
You know you wanted to.
I can't do it. I was going to let you do it. I was setting you up to do it because you do it all the time.
No, I don't.
I was literally leading you into it, and you were like, you just stared at me.
Our show, the bottom feeders expect a certain quality from us, and I'm not going to stoop to that level. Now, if you'd asked me to talk like Stefan or Cal...
Oh, the worst. The worst. When you knew he had total control of the show, and he was trying to transition himself to his post-Family Matters, post-Steve Urkel life.
It's like, oh, maybe people will forget, and they'll just remember Stefan.
And that show did one of the things that you never see anymore, where it changed networks right towards the end.
Oh, yeah.
Because it went from ABC to CBS. And again, that was one of the times when CBS was struggling, and they were looking to get anything that they possibly thought was a hit, and it didn't work. I
think Jaleel White has been hating life ever since that show went off the air.
Well, no, remember he had that hit show, Grown Up?
Really?
Exactly. Exactly. When that came out, we were a friend of mine. We were like, "Hey, he's got another show. Hey, it just got canceled."
They don't want to see him without the suspenders.
All those kids are adults, and they're like, "What the hell is wrong with them?"
Man, you know that guy who's the father is like, I was in Die Hard. Like, what is this crap that I have to put up with now with this stupid character?
No, that's like, and I always forget the guy's name.
John Amos.
Yeah, that's why he left Good Times.
Yeah.
And like I said, I always talk about this movie where the movie is based on like the whole Good Times thing, where it's called Dancing in September, where they have a TV show that starts off like Good Times, like Family Matters, where it's like the Cosby Show, and this one character has a gimmick and it takes off, and that becomes the whole show.
And John Amos is awesome.
Yeah, and that show, it wasn't worth watching once he left.
No, and I know because he's done quality stuff. We've seen him do quality stuff. I know it killed him.
Yeah, no doubt.
To see what that show became.
Because I think even the woman who played the mother felt the same way, but stayed on. But even it got to a point where she was like, no more. And that's when they killed their character off.
It's interesting because J.J. Walker, who is kind of the reason it turned to crap, was a highly respected comedian.
Right.
Before he did that catchphrase and it became a joke. Because, I mean, if you look at the history of early comedy, like, in Comedy Store, you know, Mitzi Shore and that whole history.
Right.
I mean, J.J. Walker is a huge part of that early history, and he had a lot of pull. He was a huge name. He had his own company, and now he's kind of a joke.
Yeah. I mean, he'll forever be JJ, and he hates it.
And forever people are going to be like, go up to him and say, Dynamite!
And it pisses him off to no end to hear people say that.
That's why you got to be real careful. Like, whenever there's a catchphrase, I think actors have to be like, I've even thought about Big Bang Theory.
No, and that's one of the things that when I always talk about this movie, that's what happens to this character on the TV show. He's a guy that never wanted to be an actor. They found him, and he had success in his life, and then it became a point to where the show became a joke, like Family Matters, where people make fun of this catchphrase, and they're making fun, openly mocking him in public.
Yeah,
it's not, ugh. And I'm not hating because I'd take the money and be like, woo, I did it. You can hate me all you want.
He'd be going around, Dynamite.
You damn right. And I would milk it for everything it's worth. The minute I knew I wasn't going to get anything else, I'm like, well, this is who I am. But we'll get to number 17, the Ropers, who were great on Three's Company, not so great on their own.
I don't think I ever watched The Ropers.
I saw like the first episode because it came on right after Three's Company. It's like, what was the show that came on? What was the John Ritter show that came on after Three's Company? When he went, the show John Ritter had after Three's Company, which was his own show.
All I remember is Hooper was early, and I don't know what was before that.
I don't know.
I think I'm remembering Hooper was his.
Hooper, what's that?
I gotta look it up. I think I remember the name of it right. Watch, I'll be totally wrong.
See, no, I was just thinking of that show that was like the spinoff of Three's Company when he got, he moved in with his girlfriend and her dad was like their landlord.
I don't remember any of that.
Dude, it was terrible. That's the reason why you don't remember it.
Hooper Men. I forgot the man on the end. That was a John Ritter show, 87 to 89.
I don't even remember that. This was literally right after Three's Company ended, because it was last episode of Three's Company, and then it led into his new show where same character, just different other cast, and it was terrible. But it didn't make the list, folks.
I lost my place. What's next?
We're 16. Life on a Stick. I don't remember that one.
I don't remember that at all.
I feel like this one's like 90s maybe when this one came out. Let me see. Yeah, it didn't put the date up, but I feel like, well, no, this had to be like 2000 something because this is after American Idol.
Yeah, I have no memory of that.
Wow. Yeah, you got me on that one.
I have no memory of the next one, which was on for a long time.
Oh, I actually remember this one.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't very good. But I do remember the show because I remember Crystal Bernard from it. Because when she got wings, I'm like, hey, it's that chick.
It's a living.
Yeah, it's one of those shows that's more known for its theme song than anything. Like when if you were to play the theme song, most people would be like, I remember that.
Interesting.
But I don't think anyone can tell you anything about the show other than they worked at a restaurant.
14, Shasta McNasty.
I remember this show because I thought, God, that's one of the worst titles ever. And why would anybody watch this piece of crap? And they promoted it. I remember Fox promoted it like crazy because they thought it was. I guess they liked the name of Shasta McNasty, and they're like, we're gonna get the cool kids, and it didn't work.
And if you're starring anybody with the last name Busey, even if it's Jake Busey,
yeah, they literally would be on when they promoted it. Like every commercial, they're like Shasta McNasty. I'm like, they say the name a lot. I guess there's not much more to it.
Maybe he ticked off Gary Busey. You're giving me a bad rep. I'm so respected.
Oh, man.
13, I vaguely remember, but I had totally forgotten about it until I saw this.
Yeah, it was right around the time, his boxing was still big. The Foreman grill was taking off. So his name was out there. They're like, hey, we love him commentating boxing matches, and we love his commercials, and we love the George Foreman grill. Let's give him his own TV show. Like, he's got so much charisma. What happened with this TV show?
Yeah, some things don't translate.
No, and it didn't.
12.
Based
Your
off a
favorite
movie.
Your favorite movie, Harry and the Hendersons?
Not my favorite movie.
Well, at least it had John Lithgow.
That's about the only thing I can say. I remember when this came out, I was like, really?
Yeah, and they had, according to the credits, this is on for 3 seasons.
I can't believe it was on that long.
I can't either, and a different person played Harry every time.
That's
every
funny
season.
in its own right.
They're like, I gotta get out of here.
Killing my career. Oh man.
I could have been Chewbacca.
Oh my god. So terrible. I still can't believe they tried to make that. Number 11 is the one that stumped me. I got no recollection of this one.
Yeah, I don't either.
We've Got It Made.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
So folks, we can't even comment on this one because we have no idea.
But number 10 is something I'm very interested in.
Number 10 is one I remember, and it wasn't very good, other than the fact that you wanted to stare at the girl.
Yeah, Double Trouble, 2 cute twin girls.
And that was the only reason why anyone watched it.
And number 9. See, now you're all... When I saw number 9, I was like, number 9 is Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
And I thought, it wasn't that bad when I was a kid. Like,
you watch it now.
And you rewatch it, and you're like, oh.
You're like, what the... Because, again, I think it was on TV Land or something like that, and, it's when Jermaine can't sleep, so he's going to watch something that he remembers that'll make him laugh. And I was like, this is god-awful.
A little bit of trivia I just found out. Did you know who played Uncle Larry in the pilot?
No.
Louis Anderson.
Are you serious?
Yep.
That thing wouldn't have been made.
I just found that out like a week ago.
Wow.
Number 8 is, I think, a show we brought up on this before.
We have.
Because the whole premise is kind of crazy.
And it's been on one of our more recent podcasts, if I'm not mistaken.
My Two Dads.
Yes.
An iconic show. A show I watched. A show, if memory serves, looking back on it, my mother at times thought I should turn it off.
That's funny.
And maybe it was for the content. I'm hoping it was partly for the quality.
It reeked of so many bad things. You had your traditional 80s. Paul Reiser was a yuppie. The other guy was the cool, hip, I do what I want, I get all the girls kind of guy.
I remember when Mad About You came out, I just remember thinking, that nerd from My Two Dads got another show?
Here's something that I recently saw a movie with Paul Reiser, and I came to the conclusion, I can't stand it.
Really?
Because I thought about, everything, I never was a fan of with the show you just named.
Mad About You.
Yeah. I never really... He, for some reason, has always annoyed me. And I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, I just think he's like this all the time, and he's annoying.
Yeah. He doesn't... I don't know that he stretches himself with roles. I mean, I think he's a pretty decent stand-up.
Something about him just irks me, and I don't know what it is.
But I didn't realize some of the people, I forgot Dick Butkus was in the show.
I did too.
I totally didn't realize that was Giovanni Ribisi.
Me neither.
Who is, at times, one of the most annoying actors ever. And sometimes he's okay, but I will say, since there's another show that we both kind of thought could have also made this list, and I just realized it starred the main person in My Two Dads was also in Step by Step, which was the girl, Stacy Keenan. She was on a roll from 87 to 98, she was on 2 horrendous TV shows.
Yep.
And she was probably the best thing about them.
She was the reason why anybody would watch either one.
Yep.
She was on fire during that time. And then, of course, because, and I feel this is an ongoing thing with Hollywood, once she got older, all the pervy dudes in Hollywood are like, we can't market her anymore.
Yeah.
And I know that's controversial. But
How dare you?
I'm just saying, we see that a lot where they pump these child stars, and once they get older, they're like, we can't sell them anymore.
Yeah, I'm looking on her Wikipedia page, and the roles have seemed harder to come by.
Every time, man. It's rare.
But we here at bottom of the barrel, wish her well, and invite her on.
Oh, no doubt. And if she's single, I might give her a call.
She's married.
Oh, damn it.
Okay. She's probably listening, about to come on, and you had to make it awkward.
That's what I do, man. We have a dynamic here. This is what we do. This is how we work.
So, number 7.
I remember it coming on. I remember it thinking it was the dumbest idea, and I wasn't shocked that it didn't work. And it was Baby Bob from the commercials.
And Holland Taylor is the one, isn't that the mother in 2.5 Men?
Yep.
And Adam Arkin is a respected actor. It's funny when you see people that are, you're like, how did they ever get attached to this crap?
You know, it's one of those things where I think there was...
why did anybody think this would be good?
There was so much heat from that character from the commercials that I thought that, you know, they had to have thought this was going to translate. Because, I mean, ultimately, it's a stupid idea, but those commercials were huge.
Elliot Gould, I mean, he's almost an icon. He's a he's famous.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I bet they don't brag about that in party.
Not at all. Number 6 is one of Matt's personal favorites.
Yeah, and that I hated it. And some of these shows you look back on are like, I didn't think it was that bad. Oh, wait, it was. Even as a kid, I thought Mama's Family was horrible.
Yeah, it was destined to fail from the beginning.
And I say that as a huge Carol Burnett fan. And I know that was a spinoff from a skit that they did on the Carol Burnett show.
Here's one thing
I hated it. I didn't really like it on the Carol Burnett show.
That'll make you laugh. The one chick, she was like on soap operas, like All My Children, I think. And she laughed for this, and I was like, what is she doing?
She was Opal, and if you look at her, she's just like Opal. For the maybe one All My Children fan, that fellow fan that knows what we're talking about.
That kind of gets what we're saying.
Yeah.
They're like, what the hell just happened to this podcast?
I did meet Vicki Lawrence once.
You did?
Working at Home Shopping Network.
And how was it?
She was nice.
Well, that's cool.
That's about all I remember about her. I just remember she wasn't a jerk. I think the jerks stand out more than the nice people.
They do, which is unfortunate, because you should remember the nice people more.
Yeah. Number 5. I think pretty much everybody, except whoever the guy that greenlit this, everybody, including the actors, knew.
I can't believe Nick Kroll was on this show.
Wow. I didn't know that till the second.
Yeah, when I looked at it the last time, I was like, Nick Kroll, holy crap.
Was he one of the cavemen?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's in the picture, he's the guy in the yellow shirt.
Well, I was thinking it looks like him. What was he thinking?
Dude, I remember when they were talking about the show coming out again, another show based off a commercial. And I remember, like, that's stupid. But I don't ever remember it being on TV. I felt like it got canceled. I thought it got canceled before it even went to air.
Oh, Caveman?
Yeah, I don't remember it being on TV.
No, I think because I remember like watching a little bit of the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, they tried. I feel like it was like 6 episodes.
Okay. Now, granted, this was a time when I was working in retail, so I was never at home.
Yeah. Oh, it was horrible. I was bored and curious. I'm almost positive I didn't make it more than like 5 minutes. I couldn't even make it through one episode. I know.
Brutal. This next one, I have no clue.
I've never heard of it.
Number 4 is one called Whoops. It came out apparently in 1992, and couldn't tell you anything about it.
Yeah, I have no idea. It was early Fox when they were just throwing anything.
Yeah, they put on anything they could.
And just seeing what stuck. And pretty much Married with Children and The Simpsons carried the network for about a decade.
For real. And the original reality show, Cops.
Yeah.
And America's Most Wanted.
And after those 4 shows, pretty much everything else is along the lines of Whoops.
Number 3 was one that I don't think is as bad or deserves to be on this list. It's not great, but it's not 25 of the worst, and it's Yes Dear.
Yes Dear. See, I don't want to ever defend mediocrity, except for our podcast.
Right.
But,
That's not taking a shot at ourselves.
no. But it's not nearly as bad as most everything else on this list.
When you think there are shows that they left off, like Full House, Boy
Yeah.
Meets World. Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, both the wives are cute. There you go.
Exactly.
2 is your favorite show.
2 should be number 1, and anyone that argues
I actually agree with number 1.
is crazy. I think if you ever saw 2, you would realize that 2 makes number 1 look like a successful show.
I just think 2 wasn't on long enough, because I did see one episode recently of this next show.
And 2 is the greatest show of all time, and again, I wish I was a fly on the wall when they said, let's make this show, and it's Homeboys in Outer Space.
What did you just say?
Homeboys in Outer Space.
I think you're a racist son of a bitch for even saying that out loud.
Someone at this network said, let's make this show. They fly around space in a Cadillac. You couldn't get more racist.
It's pretty bad. I like at the very end they say, even the NAACP protested. Well, shouldn't they have?
Oh, man.
And number 1 is, and has been, my choice for worst show ever made for many years, so I feel vindicated, which is Small Wonder.
My issue with Small Wonder, besides the fact that it was absolutely terrible, is the fact is, did they ever plan on her growing up?
And did they ever explain it? Maybe they did. I don't know.
I feel like they didn't.
I'm sure they didn't bother.
I feel like it's the whole Webster different strokes thing, even though it's not. But you know, you're like, hey, at some point, these characters are gonna grow up. Maybe not grow out.
Right.
But you know, as far as I know, she was gonna get older. I don't know that they thought. What was the thought process? Was she able to age like regular kids?
I'm sure, like, the dad, Ted Lawson, was a genius.
Ah, there you go.
That's all you have to say, and everything's explained.
And why did they even create the robot?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Could they not have kids? Did they have kids?
Yeah, they had other kids.
Oh, see? What the fuck? That was always the thing that made me want to slam my head against the wall. I'm like, I don't get why they created. Is it because he just wanted to try it?
I think they at least had a son, but yeah, it wasn't like the more realistic or barren. We can't escape that past drug deal and adopt, so we'll make a robot child. I don't even really know what to say about this TV show other than you have to watch it. And if you watch it, you'll get it. It's just the worst. And the whole thing about it is that it was on for 4 seasons.
Well, it reeks of, they saw this girl, they loved her, and they said, what could we put her in? She's adorable. In their mind.
Right.
And, you know,
let's take away what makes her adorable and have her talk like this. Because everybody wants that in a TV character. For 30 minutes every week. I am Bigby.
It goes back to, because this was the 80s, right?
Yeah.
This goes back to the whole 80s thing, and the thing that everyone was in love with at that time was, you know, futuristic. How are we gonna move forward? All this technology, and it's like, robot people. And I know it sounds stupid, but that's kind of the thing that they were doing at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, painful.
I don't even know where to go from here.
I think we have to end, because you can't really top Homeboys in Outer Space and Small Wonder.
Must shut podcast down.
And I know we're out.